Welcome to virtual visits at the New York Academy of Medicine Library. I'm Arlene Shaner, the Historical Collections Librarian at the Academy, and I'll be sharing some highlights from the library's collections with you in this virtual tour. Our library has over 550,000 volumes and many other materials, and all of them help us learn about the history of health and medicine. Visit us online anytime to learn about the library and explore more of our resources. In June of 1879, the Academy Library received a wonderful gift. The 22 heavily illustrated volumes of the Natural History of New York that had been published up until that time, and we'll explore a few of them in this virtual visit. The books originally belonged to Dr. John Glover Adams, a founding fellow of the New York Academy of Medicine, seen here both as a young man and in his later years. Adams came from a wealthy family, and he devoted himself more to travel, writing, and organizational service than to the practice of medicine itself. He was generous to NYAM for decades, donating time, funds, and books. The state legislature passed an act to provide for a natural history and geological survey of New York in 1836, and volumes began appearing 6 years later. The survey is widely recognized as the most ambitious scientific project undertaken in the United States at that time. The first volume starts with a long essay about the state by Governor William Henry Seward that seems to cover every possible topic, from geography to politics, education and libraries, theology and medicine, agriculture and architecture. The 5 volumes of the zoology series were edited by James Ellsworth Decay, who earned a medical degree but then chose to pursue an interest in natural history. In collaboration with artist John William Hill, Decay described mammals, birds, reptiles, amphibians, fish, mollusca, and crustaceans. The images in our copy of the mammals are uncolored, but astonishingly detailed, ranging from bats to bears, raccoons, squirrels, panthers, moose, and even whales. The volume on birds contains 102 plates, and ours are beautifully colored. Fans of Barry the barred owl, who spent most of a year in Central Park before her untimely passing, will find the image on the right familiar. Other owls, songbirds, ducks, and shorebirds all appear. And if you look closely, you can see that Dr. Adams penciled in their common names next to many of the images. The next volume covers reptiles and amphibians, and Decay is quick to point out that many people are put off by these animals, partly because of their cool and naked skin, unadorned with fur or feathers. Colored copies of this volume are extremely rare, but we are lucky to have one. Here are sets of turtles, and lots of lizards and salamanders. Snakes, frogs, and toads are also in this group. Fish appear right after the reptiles and amphibians, and over 250 of them are illustrated, including some that might be familiar, such as these flounder and puffers. There are also lots of sharks and rays. The last of the zoology volumes covers the mollusca and crustacea. There are plates filled with illustrations of the shells in which many mollusca live, along with New York's famous oysters and scallops. Cephalopods are part of this group as well. In the crustacea are many kinds of crabs, even a horseshoe crab, as well as a lobster. Probably the most popular books of the survey are the 2 volumes of the Flora of the State of New York, compiled by John Torrey. Torrey, like Decay, had a medical degree, but he taught chemistry and botany at several local institutions, including Columbia and Princeton. Torrey was especially concerned about the quality of the images in the flora. In the preface, he names the 2 women artists responsible for most of the illustrations, Agnes Mitchell and Elizabeth Pooley. 161 plates accompany the plant descriptions, and in many cases those descriptions contain information about their medicinal uses. Some, like St. John's wort, continue to be used as supplements today. Others, like pokeweed, are poisonous. Here are two varieties of cardinal flowers. As the name suggests, Lobelia syphilitica, or blue cardinal flower, was thought to be a cure for syphilis. Milkweed and wild ginger are shown here. And here are two illustrations of trees, a silver maple and a pin oak. The last volumes of the survey we'll look at are the set on agriculture, edited by Ebenezer Emmons. Emmons, like all our other survey writers, began his career as a physician, but shifted his interest to geology. That expertise is apparent in these volumes, which discuss the soil and climate of the different regions of New York State and how they affect agricultural production. The vegetables, grains, and fruits that grow in New York merit lots of illustrations, though. Many varieties of potatoes appear, as well as squashes, eggplants, peas, and grains. Two volumes, one of text and the other with almost 100 hand-colored lithographs, are completely devoted to New York's fruits, from plums to peaches to cherries and raspberries. But most of the images focus on just two fruits, many varieties of pears, and of course so many different kinds of apples, which appear in groups, arranged on plates, and as individual specimens. The very last volume of this group takes us back to animals, in this case insects, especially those that damage crops. The cicadas and grasshoppers on the right are easy to recognize. But there are plenty of beautiful butterflies as well, along with dragonflies and moths. I hope you've enjoyed this short tour of some of New York's natural history riches. To see these books and others, you can make an appointment to come to the library in person or visit us online at nyam.org/library to explore more of our resources.